So this week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Washington for what was supposed to be the routine show of alliance, a reaffirmation of the unbreakable bond between the United States and Israel. But that's not what happened, because if you watched closely and if you listened to not just what was said, but what wasn't said, what you saw wasn't unity. It was friction, tension, a recalibration of power. Let's start with Iran. Trump shocked Netanyahu with the announcement that he's beginning negotiations with Iran. Not war, not sabotage, not assassination, but talks.
We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. It'll go on Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious. And the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. And we hope that's going to happen.
Okay, so to most Americans, that sounds reasonable, right? Rational even. We've spent decades in the Middle East, thousands of lives lost, trillions of dollars burned. Diplomacy should always be on the table, especially with a regional power like Iran. But to Netanyahu, that's not just a disappointment. It's a threat. And you can see it in his body language as he's listening to Trump say, we're going to be opening up negotiations with Iran and it's starting this weekend. Netanyahu isn't just uncomfortable, he's unnerved, because what Trump is proposing challenges the entire doctrine of Israeli regional strategy. The idea that Iran is an existential threat, a rogue state that can never be reasoned with. That narrative is the foundation of Israeli foreign policy. And if you remove it, the whole structure starts to wobble. And so Netanyahu responded. Here he is. He's actually speaking Hebrew in this, and he is calling for the Libyan model. Let me actually just read for you what he says, because you won't be able to listen to this. If you did, it was in Hebrew anyway. But he says, I've just finished my second visit to the U.S. in 2 months, a very warm visit with my friend, President Donald Trump. You could be impressed from the great closeness and friendship between us, which was expressed in the issues we discussed. First of all, Iran, we agree that Iran will not have nuclear weapons. This can be done by agreement, but only if this agreement is Libyan style. They go in, blow up the installations, dismantle all of the equipment under American supervision and carried out by America. Carried out by America. This would be good. The second possibility that will not be is that they will drag out their talks, and then there is the military option. Everyone understands this. We spoke about it at great length. Are you kidding me? The Libyan model? Let's pause on that. And by the way, carried out by America, blowing up all of their installations, dismantling their equipment, carried out by America, the Libyan model? You mean when Gaddafi voluntarily gave up his weapons program in exchange for normalization with the West, and then NATO-backed rebels dragged him out of a drainage pipe and violently killed him in the street? That's what Netanyahu is suggesting Iran should agree to. Think about the message that sends. Give up your deterrence and we'll ensure your regime is wiped off the map anyway. It's not a diplomatic position. It's a promise of violence either way. So Trump wants peace, Netanyahu wants war, and we're going to find out in the coming months which U.S. president, Netanyahu or Trump, is truly in control of our foreign policy. So Netanyahu didn't just come to Washington to talk about Iran. He came with a second objective, trade. Now, he wanted Trump to lift the 17% tariffs on Israeli imports. It was a calculated ask, leverage the personal relationship, use the diplomatic visit to ease economic pressure, but Trump didn't flinch. Instead, he reminded everyone that Israel receives over $4 billion a year in U.S. military aid.
Do you plan to reduce the tariffs that your government put on Israeli goods? 70%?
On where?
On Israeli goods, 70%. Do you plan
well, we're talking about a whole new trade. Maybe not. Maybe not. Don't forget, we help Israel a lot. We give Israel $4 billion a year. That's a lot. Congratulations, by the way. That's pretty good. But we give Israel billions of dollars a year. Billions.
So, in other words, why should I do you any favors when my taxpayers are already footing your defense budget? So this is where the old alliance starts to crack, not because the friendship has ended, but because the interests are no longer aligned. America is hurting economically. Inflation, job losses, rising debt. Trump ran on economic nationalism. The era of free gifts is over. And if that wasn't enough insult and humiliation for Netanyahu, then came the Erdogan comment. Trump said publicly that he has a very, very good relationship with Erdogan. He said, quote, "I happen to like him and he likes me and we've never had a problem." He then turned to Netanyahu and said, "Any problem that you have with Turkey, I think I can solve. I mean, as long as you're reasonable, you have to be reasonable." No wonder there was no joint press conference after the meeting. It was quietly canceled by the White House. Now, that's not a scheduling conflict. That's not poor coordination. That's a deliberate signal to the world. This meeting did not go well. But if you want to see who still is aligned with Netanyahu, then look no further than the rest of the U.S. government. They welcomed him like a head of state. They just shook his hand, smiled. Everybody just embraced him, not just a foreign leader, but a sovereign, really, who has influence over American policy. While Gaza burns, while Israel openly talks of expanding war, while the possibility of bombing Iran is discussed with a casual tone like it's a budget proposal, and through it all, the same people who chant America first applaud. So ask yourself, is it really America first when the president has to explain to the Israeli prime minister that he won't go to war on command? Is it America first when billions flow to Tel Aviv while our own veterans sleep on the street? Is it America first when our defense budget is now officially $1 trillion? Watch this.
But despite that, we have a tremendous military. That was a very small portion because we rebuilt the military during my first term. And we have great things happening with our military. We also essentially approved a budget, which is in the facility, you'll like to hear this, of $1 trillion, $1 trillion. And nobody's seen
$1 trillion. This is not what Trump ran on. He ran on ending these wars, rebuilding America, cutting waste, refocusing inward. And instead, we're expanding the Pentagon and entertaining foreign leaders who openly talk about sparking the largest war the Middle East has ever seen and dragging us into it, having us lead it, in fact. So no, this meeting did not go as Netanyahu hoped, not even as the American people hoped. And in that sense, it was revealing, not because Trump finally broke the alliance, but because for the first time in a long time, we actually did see a U.S. president tell the Israeli prime minister no. But what happens next will determine whether this was a turning point or just another brief pause before we're dragged back into a war that isn't ours. 1775 and Rumble teamed up to launch the first anti-aging coffee, and it's almost gone. They dropped 1,000 longevity bundles, and after blowing through most of them, they extended the sale and added a few more so that you could grab one. But this is the final push, so once they're gone, they're not coming back. For $99, you're getting over $250 in value. That's 2 bags of longevity coffee infused with CAAKG to support cellular health and reduce biological age. And yes, they'll be selling biological age tests soon to prove it. Plus an ultra-rare pea berry roast that makes up less than 5% of global crops. And exclusive 1775 merch. This is real, bold, high-quality coffee, single origin, small farm, small batch, not some throwaway promo roast. It's made for people who still give a damn. And if you believe in America, in freedom, and in not settling for weak corporate nonsense, this is your coffee. And every dollar you spend gets you 1 entry to win a Cybertruck and $30,000 cash. That's 99 entries locked in. And with less than a month left, this bundle guarantees you a real shot. So head to 1775coffee.com/Kim, fuel up, live long, and start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show. You can check out the full show every Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Just head to KimIversonShow.com. It's a full hour-long live stream. See you guys there.